What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another episode of What If series. I know a lot of you guys like this series. We get a lot of traction sometimes. Sometimes I do, but this one's a little bit more crazy. This is a championship weekend scenario of the absolute proportion of crazy madness. Definitely possible. I'm not saying it's not impossible. All these spreads are generally like with one score, so it's definitely possible. I would definitely wouldn't make a parlay on this in the slightest, but it's definitely a very interesting concept of like what it looks like when these teams do compete. So what we're gonna be doing today is we're gonna be taking some of the underdogs and having them win, and then we're gonna see what the bracket looks like and see how it changed and see what's going on. And I know there's a lot of talk about the current bracket system, about like ASU versus Ohio State. Then they get to play like Boise, and I'm telling you right now, with crazy scenarios like this, that whole like thing that people are complaining about could change or even flip on its head and make the bracket even more crazy. Pause. It's Easy Paradox here, talking straight to you guys, who the people are still watching the video. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Please drop that subscribe button. Please drop a like. Maybe even leave a comment about how you think about the video, positive, negative. I reply to every comment, or at least like them. I try to. And then please check out the socials. They're also linked in the channel. Let's get back into the video. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at all the conference championships here. And as you can see, we have all of them other than Boise and whatever. Because I think that we should just keep Boise winning the game, and we don't even need to look at it. First, we're going to be looking at Oregon taking the L to Penn State right away. Just boom, gone right away. Then we have Texas losing to Georgia. Boom, bam, bong. So now Georgia is the undisputed. Now Georgia's the SEC title winner. Next, we have SMU versus Clemson. This is where it gets dicey, and there's going to be a lot of what ifs in the situation, a lot of about if they're going to punish SMU for losing in the SEC title game. Let's just make this hypothetical even easier. Let's say Clemson wins by less than a field goal because they kicked a game winner. Let's say it's really close, nail biter of a game. So then SMU takes the big L. And then I'm going to do Iowa State, ASU about the same as I did with Boise. We're just going to have ASU win because it just makes the scenario a little bit better in terms of how the overall bracket's going to look. So this is what the rankings should generally look like based on patterns of the committee. I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh my God, Penn State doesn't play, but they beat Oregon, and they're like number 3. So I think they're just going to slide up. Notre Dame's going to slide up to 3. Oregon and Texas are going to slide down to 4 and 5. I don't think they're going to go much farther than that because Oregon beat Ohio State, and I think Texas is not going to be punished too much. I think all these games will be close. And then 6 and 7 are going to stay the same. Indiana moves up 1 spot. Boise moves up 1 spot. SMU moves back 2. Boise did beat a ranked opponent, so they're justified by moving up 1. SMU moves down 2 spots to number 10 to say that they're in the playoffs. I think ASU would move up to like around 13 after beating another ranked team. Clemson will probably be around like that 15-14 mark. I'm not sure. I put them as tie with Ole Miss. So as you can see the rankings now, and now let's move on to the bracket. Now I'm in the middle of the screen, as you can tell, but this is what the bracket is right now. We have Ohio State, Tennessee versus each other first round, Penn State, ASU, then we have Georgia, Indiana, Notre Dame, Alabama. A lot of people are talking about the bottom of the bracket here with Penn State versus ASU, and then they'll go on to play Boise because it's a group of 5 team. It's not the committee's fault that the Big 12 isn't as good as they were, so now they're just stuck at the 5 seed. So then the group 5's at the 4. That 4 seed could be anyone. Imagine if BYU was still undefeated. They could have potentially be 3, and there'll be ACC right there, or even BYU stayed undefeated. There's a good argument that they could have, depending on how everything shuffles around, a good argument that they could be 2. And then Texas or Georgia would be number 3 or 4. You don't know what's going to happen in the grand scheme of things until the very end. And yes, I do agree that path to the semifinals is easier in terms of historic outcomes. Like ASU has been really good in history. Boise State isn't very good in history, but this is college football, baby. Anything can happen. And I think that just because you're looking on paper and saying, "Oh my God, my FBI is so high," doesn't mean you're gonna have a easy time through these teams. But I understand what people are complaining about. they're saying, oh my God, Oregon's number one. Then they have to play the winner of like Ohio State or Tennessee or potentially Georgia like the previous week. Like just a whole bunch of nonsense, a whole bunch of garbage. So what we're going to be looking at next is the playoff bracket based on the rankings that were shown right before. I just wanted to give you guys a good visual of what the bracket looks like now versus what it's going to look like later. Here's the new bracket. I know the logos look a little funky, look a little wonky. I did add some interesting logo, like the Iowa State logo here. It's a little different, and I moved some things around and changed some things up. I think the only thing on the bracket that stayed the same, Ohio State, Tennessee, I don't think they're going to move with the scenario that was given to them. So what we have here is Penn State is a 1 seed because they beat Oregon, and they'll play the winner of Tennessee, Ohio State, and then number 2 seed is Georgia, and then they'll play the winner of Texas, Indiana. So that kind of flip-flopped a little bit. And then Boise is now the 3 seed because ahead of them was SMU, but SMU lost. They moved down to like 10th, and Boise's 9. So they will be the 3 seed, and then Clemson will still not be in the top 12, so their spot will be in the 12th seed. So then Boise would play the winner of Oregon versus SMU. ASU would then fill the 4th spot, and they'll play the winner of Notre Dame, Clemson. And as you can see, like I said before, now the bracket looks fairly equal. I guess like Oregon now has a easier side, but that's a different side of the bracket. You can't switch the entire bracket up just because there's 1 year where a team looks like they have an easier path to success. That's just not how the bracket works. I would say that the 1 seed should play the winner of 5 and 12. That's just my opinion on it. Just because I don't know, it feels like they should play the winner of 5 and 12 because of 12 wins, they're the underdog and they should go on. Kind of like March Madness where the 16th seed plays the 1 seed and then they move on and then they play another group seeds. But, I'm not the committee. I don't make the rules, but I do think that this bracket would make absolute chaos in the room about like what's going on, and it would make the whole landscape a little different. And that's just assuming that SMU would stay in the challenge. If they don't put SMU, then that would be Alabama or Miami, depending on how they value Miami's rec conference. Because if Clemson wins, that means there's 2 ACC teams. I guess I don't think they would put Miami in, but that's just my thoughts on that. But that's gonna be it for watching this video. Please like and subscribe if you like this kind of content. Peace.